Once upon a time, we saw a university where a senior professor was teaching his class, and his assistant was also sitting here. These people are teaching their class about the changes in plants. All the students sitting here are taking pictures of the board, so that they can revise their notes later. But a girl sitting here, Leo, instead of taking pictures of the lecture, starts taking pictures of the assistant. Because this girl, Leo, likes that assistant. This girl has just come to this university, so she doesn't have the courage to confess in front of the assistant that she likes him. Meanwhile, a friend of Leo shows her a mobile in which a student has died in a bad way. It seemed as if a lot of plants were inside his body, because he is completely green. On the other hand, we also see some police officers who are taking pictures of the dead student. Whereas here, as soon as the class ends, Leo goes to the assistant and gives him a plant gift. And in the end, in fear, she says that she likes him, but the assistant denies it. He says, "You are a student, and I am a teacher. There can be no such relationship between us." Leo comes out disappointed and says, while talking to her friend, that no one has ever rejected me. Who is he to reject me? Leo's friend takes care of her and tells her to have a little courage, and they start dancing to a song so that their mood can be refreshed. Whereas the assistant standing at the window, whose name is Zheng, was watching them dance, and he starts smiling a lot inwardly. After a while, when Leo's friend goes to her room, she starts looking at her face in the mirror, because a pimple was coming out of her face, but it was not a normal pimple. Instead, it looked like a plant was growing from her face. A plant was coming out. In a state of anxiety, she immediately covers her face with makeup. On the other hand, now we see the professor and his assistant, Zheng, who, according to their normal routine, is sitting in their office. The professor gives him something to drink. As soon as the assistant, Zheng, drinks it, he immediately falls unconscious. Meanwhile, the professor keeps a modern pot in front of him, in which a plant is placed, whose roots are glowing a lot. He extracted a special liquid from it, filled it with an injection, and put it in the assistant's hand. The professor is doing an illegal experiment here, in which he wants to see if the plant can grow inside the assistant's body. That's why he has injected this liquid inside him. But when the result comes on the computer, the result is that the matching degree is 0%. That is, his body cannot match the liquid at all. So he gets disappointed, and the professor leaves the plant and his assistant, Zheng, and disappears from there. On the other hand, we see Leo, who is calling her friend from her room, but she doesn't come out. She asks again and again, "What happened to you?" But she refuses, with some excuse that "I can't come out." So Leo doesn't disturb her much, and starts drawing a picture. This picture is of the same assistant, Zheng, because her house is right in front of his house. She is making a picture of him on the canvas by looking at him. Now we see the scene of the girls' hostel, where a girl is taking a bath. Meanwhile, the shower where she was under the control of a plant. That is, the plant starts wrapping around the shower, and as soon as she looks up, the water immediately turns green, because of which she doesn't know anything, and she starts screaming. Here, Leo had completed that painting, and she was going to impress the assistant, Zheng, while giving him that painting. When she goes and knocks on the door of his room, no one opens the door from there, because the assistant was unconscious in the professor's office. Anyway, after a while, he comes to his senses. He sees what happened to me, but he doesn't remember anything, and he picks up the same plant and starts coming back to his room. In a little while, assistant Zheng also comes back to his house. Here they have a lot to talk about, some happiness and some anger. Apart from this, the assistant also says that he used to love a girl, who was also his classmate, but she was offered a job in some country, and she went there. This girl, Leo, gets very jealous and starts going from there, but the assistant stops her. He says, "Wait, I like you too. That's why I have some of your pictures on my computer, but we can't make any connections, because I am a teacher and you are a student." So Leo says, "Okay, fine, when I complete my graduation, then we can go out somewhere and get married." And assistant Zheng also agrees to this. That's why the assistant gifted Leo the same plant, which he picked up from the professor's office and brought back, because in these people's culture, gifting a plant is considered a very good gesture, which shows that you are very serious. You take good care of each other. Then they can also be normal roses or any normal plant. Leo comes back to his room with the plant. Here she is watering the plant because, by mistake, because of the leaves of the plant, a cut is made on the finger. She is also worried that this can happen. Because of the leaves of the plant, she still wraps a bandage around her finger. Here she calls her friend again. but her friend still doesn't answer. She was still hiding. Leo also ignores her and goes to sleep. As soon as night falls, the plant starts glowing. As soon as the branches of this plant pass through the ground, they come to Leo's bed and completely wrap it, but Leo suddenly wakes up and realizes that this was just a dream. Anyway, she looks at her friend's bed, from whose bed some green liquid was falling. She slowly came forward. As soon as she goes to her area and removes the curtain from the bed, her friend's dead body comes in front of her. She was killed, and plants were coming out of her body. There were a lot of plants growing on her back, and as soon as she sees this, Leo starts screaming. She was very scared. Soon the police get this news, and the police start their investigation. Zheng also comes to meet Lily, who is fine. And here, the police show Zheng the plant. Do you know anything about this plant? Because Zheng is a professor who has been missing for a long time. He used to study plants and teach students about plants. That's why the police are asking for expert advice. But when he looks at the plant, he says, "I have never seen such roots or plants in my life." On the other hand, Leo is still with the police, and among the people around her, she sees the assistant Zheng's girlfriend, whom she used to love in the past. She sees him standing. His name is Shu. On the other hand, the university is announcing that we are going to close the university for a few days. We are going to put the university on lockdown because, among some students, a strange virus has been found. That any student, any teacher, anyone in the university will not leave the university without permission. Here, when Leo and Zheng are coming out, Leo again dreams that the plants have taken over all the students living there. All the students have plants in their necks. Plants have come on their faces, as if all the plants are growing inside the person. But he immediately regains consciousness, and she takes care of herself again, because it was just a dream. She was just hallucinating while the news was coming on TV that it was necessary to catch the professor because he is on the run and he has injected the virus in many students, because of which this virus is spreading rapidly. Anyway, when Leo goes to the washroom, she removes the bandage that was previously attached to a plant. When she sees it, the plant grows on her finger. She is very scared, but she still takes out the plant from her other finger. Meanwhile, some people are wearing masks. Come there and tell Assistant Zheng, Leo, and others to go to the gym so that you all can be tested, who is sick and who is fine, and this virus can be saved from spreading. Seeing these masked men, all the students start getting scared because all the students are being called to the gym. Everyone was more worried than before. What is happening to the assistant and her friend when they are going to the gym? Her old friend comes in front of her, whose name is Shu, whom she used to like. She has also worked with the professor, who has been missing for a long time. She says that our experiment was about the changing genes in humans so that we can save humans from many diseases, but the professor went against his will and started doing some illegal experiments, and with the help of plants he started making dangerous deadly viruses. Because the professor was my senior, when I saw all this the professor fired me, so now I am investigating all this, and the scary thing is earlier he used to work in the lab, but for the last few years he started experimenting on his own students. Because of this all the deaths till now, be it your roommate's death or the boy who died in the beginning or many more, because the professor put all these viruses in humans, and those whose match was 100%. The professor said that you are lucky because your match was not 100%, so the virus did not affect you. In a little while, Leo notices that all the nerves in his hands start turning green, just like a plant. Now that Leo knew that he was infected, all the students who were wearing masks were being checked, so she hides and runs away. If she is caught, anything can happen to her. Assistant Zheng starts looking for her, and while running, he finds her. On the other hand, the masked man catches another girl who was infected by the virus because the professor did an experiment on her. He tries to save her, but unfortunately, the virus kills her, and she dies. Assistant Zheng goes to his room and sees that Leo is already there. She tells him to stay away from her. She says, "Look at my hand. I am infected by the virus, and my face is turning green." Assistant Zheng helps Leo and says that everything will be fine. In a little while, Leo gets an idea. She opens the emails of her roommate, and she realizes that someone is emailing her, and that person used to take his roommate to his house. She suspects that that person is the professor, because he took his roommate to his house and injected the virus spread, and she died. Meanwhile, the masked man comes to the building and sprays everywhere so that the virus can be eradicated. He knocks on every door, but he doesn't open the door because he is afraid that as soon as he sees Leo, he will recognize that Leo is also infected, and he will experiment, but no one survives, so he doesn't open the door. But Leo was scared and accidentally dropped a glass full of water. Because of this, the masked people outside heard a noise and went inside and took him to the same gym where all the students were told to gather and where they were treating people. By testing here, it was found that Leo was infected, and the doctors and the masked people injected some medicines so that the virus couldn't spread. They took him to another room while the assistant Zheng screamed and shouted to leave him, but the masked people caught him with their hands. After some time, when all the doctors meet each other, they find out that the virus is dangerous, like it affects the brain and damages the nervous system, but it is not something that spreads before coughing or touching, but until it is injected inside you it is not a threat to anyone. Like poison, until it is injected the doctors are relieved because they know until the plant is injected it is not a threat. But Shu tells the doctors who were investigating the case that Leo is different because his body structure and genetics generate a new form of the virus which is completely different from all the other viruses, but because of Leo it is going to be a big threat. But all the senior doctors don't take Shu's words seriously. They say that it is just your imagination and nothing like that is going to happen. And because they had closed a lockdown in the university, they removed it so that everyone could live their normal lives. The assistant Zheng meets Shu, and they decide that they will go to the place where Leo's friend used to go with his mother because he had a doubt that his senior professor must be hiding somewhere and he must have the cure. So they reach the house and see that there are plants everywhere. All kinds of plants, even those that they had never seen. Here the professor was sitting on his chair. He was not moving at all. As soon as they come close and touch him, a very big fly trap plant comes out of the trap and tries to eat them and was about to kill them, but because they were fast, they were saved. So Shu throws her lighter towards the plant and burns it. Because the plant came out from inside the professor, both the professor and the plant burn and die. Here Shu and the assistant check the professor's computer and see that the plant is not going to die, and it will keep on growing, so much so that it will cover the entire neighborhood, the entire city, and the entire country. It will keep on growing and it will never stop, and if someone's body matches 0%, then that person will be saved from the virus forever. And this was the reason that when the professor put the virus inside the assistant Zheng, the virus was not matching. No virus came inside. Here, Shu starts checking the professor's computer, and all the data that the professor has stored in his computer, she starts sending it to her company. The assistant stops her because if she sends the data to someone else, they will use it negatively, and what the professor did, someone else will do the same. But Shu does not stop here. She sprays it on the Zheng and makes it unconscious. A branch comes out, goes inside the Zheng, and kills the plant. So Shu did burn the plant, but the plant was not dead. It was growing, and it was more dangerous, and it killed Shu. On the other hand, in the gym, we see Leo, whose body genetics were 100% matching, so the virus can easily grow inside his body, and as we see, a lot of plants come out that are not dying, and immediately the whole gym is full of plants that came out of Leo's body, and all the doctors who were helping him were also killed by these plants. In a little while, when Zheng comes back to his university, he sees plants everywhere and everyone is dead, but he still does not know where Leo is. In the next scene, the whole city is full of plants. There are plants on every building. There are plants on every road. After a few days, assistant Zheng comes back to the same gym. Because he has not found Leo yet and he is still looking for him because he started loving him, here he sees the same painting that Leo had made for him. He smiles at it and starts remembering Leo. And the story of this movie ends here.